Now, one of the things you need to know first off is that this is from Decoyu, and this is their second attempt to make a fan exclusive. So this is their fan exclusive 2.0. Now, this is their first version from Decoyu, the fan exclusive, and then you could also get it where the scales look like the Leatherman Arc with the black strip around the edge, but I just got the plain silver one. And so Decoyu decided to go ahead and go back to the drawing board and make this version, and so they made this one in white. It has what looks like to be the same pocket clip on the outside, so then a lot of the mechanisms have remained the same as well. So we still have the hammer end, we still have the magnets at the end where you can snap back into place, and then on the inside we still have this plier head that is removable. So, or that you can take apart rather. You can tear down your plier head right here, and then there is this notch right here that, while not specifically perhaps for crimping, you might be able to crimp some with that, although it doesn't have a notch like some other Leathermans do. So this is definitely, well, we'll get into that later, but I do want to let you know that this is a little too close to some Leathermans, and we'll delve into that again a little bit later. So what this tool comes with is it does come with replaceable wire cutters, and then also a pouch right here. And this one right here is the Velcro, and then it's got the MOLLE on the back. All right, now right here you can see where there's the magnets, the locking tabs right there, and then everything will be on the outside. All the tools will be on the outside. So let's go ahead and deploy some of those tools right here. All right, so here is the two tools, the fan exclusive number 1, the fan exclusive number 2, and there's 2 big changes, or actually I think there's like 4 big changes. So we definitely have the white collar on the outside, and then we have the scissors that now come in black, where the original came in silver. And then we have the file that is now actually a double-sided file, where previously this file was only one-sided. So you only had a file on this side right there. So that is the third change. And then the fourth and the largest change is they have added a gut hook or a cutting hook on the serrated blade. So that's another big change as well. Now they're still using the D2 knife blade right there. And then also we have this package opener pry tool right here on the inside, and then there is still this Phillips screwdriver and the serrated blade right here. So there's 4 tools on this side: serrated blade, your D2 knife, your Phillips screwdriver, and then this pry package opener tool right there. Now on the other side we have the knife, we've got the file with the screwdriver tip, we've got the awl with the eyelet right there, and then we've got the saw, and then we've got the can opener as well. Now this awl right here has, it almost looks like this wire bending notch at the bottom, but I don't think that's necessarily a wire stripper. All right, so when it comes to the bit driver on this fan exclusive 2.0, it's definitely so much better. Now the original bit driver, if you don't remember, this one right here, I actually did have problems because this is locked and then it still unlocks right there. So yeah, that was a big issue on mine. Somehow this notch, I don't know, it wasn't machined properly, or the spring, not sure exactly why, but this one actually does lock into place. And yeah, it looks like it's made about exactly the same, but it actually works. So all the tools on this 2.0 that I have used so far, or that I have extended and tried to lock, they all seem to work, so that's not an issue. So that's pretty good. And then you can use the Roxxon 4mm bit kit on the end of this. It doesn't fit on there extremely much, but it does fit on there enough to use a 4mm bit kit if you want that right there. So that does work on this tool. And then you can exchange the pocket clip on either side. So that's pretty nice as well. Now, one of the problems that I have noticed with this is the inside tools are very easy to access, right? So you can access those fine. This one right here, the D2 knife blade, has the thumb stud. That's easy to access. The serrated blade seems to be okay to access, and then the scissors. But I do sometimes, I noticed that first of all, when I was trying to extend the saw blade, that it was a little bit harder to reach into that notch. And it seems like I lose part of my fingernail in there or part of my skin, unfortunately, because it does seem like the edges are a bit sharp. But the more that I work this, I do notice that it seems to actually be easier to use. Now, I don't know if I can get this there. It does look like we've got copper washers in there, I guess. So it looks like they are trying to use a little bit more premium material. So one of the things I haven't tried out yet is the set of scissors. Now, in the past, I have mentioned that it seems like when these scissors are coated, when they are blackened by whatever process they use, they are not as sharp, and I run into issues with that all the time with multi-tools. I have to say, in this instance, the scissors seem very sharp so far. I'm able to slice through all of this material fairly impressively, and so yeah, these are pretty nice scissors, whether it's precise cuts, slicing through seat belt, yeah, anything, they do seem to slice right through. Now, there is perhaps a huge issue with these pliers. Now, so what I want to do is get the older version out. And I don't know. All right, so let's see again if I can get this right here. And if you can see, someone has mentioned, so what Decoyu has done with this tool, instead of exactly copying Leatherman, is it looks like they have used rubber grommets, spacers, washers, whatever you want to call them, to create friction between the plier head and the frame. And so what we're seeing right here is actually some of this rubber disintegrate. So every time you're opening this up, and you get that friction where it snaps into place, you're essentially damaging those rubber washers. And so what someone was saying is, yeah, after just a couple of times, this whole thing is just going to flop around. Now, I don't know, mine isn't yet, but I definitely can see some wear right there, and it looks like this new version is made the same way. Now, the alternative to that is, as I mentioned this to someone else, is that they said, well, it's probably extremely cheap to get replacements. You can take this apart and just replace them probably pretty easily. Well, that might be the case as well. So I just wanted to let you guys be aware of that. There's definitely some pros and cons about this, and that's why this tool is very emotionally reactive to a lot of people. And let's go ahead and tackle that next. I don't know if I really want to, but I think it needs to be tackled. So let's just jump into this, dive into some of the issues that this tool presents. And the first one is definitely, should you even buy this tool? Now, the reality is that Decoyu themselves feel so leery about this tool that they do not show a full picture on their website. And you will not see a full picture of this tool on any of their YouTube posts as well. There's not a video talking about it anymore, I don't think. I think all that is torn down. So obviously, Decoyu themselves have run into some issues, or potentially expect to, because they have made that. All right, so that's just being transparent. That's how Decoyu feels about it. So I will leave a link, but you will not see a picture of this. All you will see is a pair of wire cutters. That is the picture. And then underneath it will say Fan Exclusive 2.0. So yes, I will leave a link, but you will not see this tool, and you have to just buy it if you so desire. trusting that that's what you will get. The next thing to talk about is this an exact copy of the Leatherman Arc? No, it is not. And the reason it's not is, well, the plier head is definitely a fair amount different. It's a take apart. I mean, the plier head, you can take it apart, and even though it looks similar, it doesn't have the exact same needle nose. I don't think at the end, I think the Leatherman Arc is a little bit different. It's definitely a copy, and then the mechanism is different as well. So the handles, yes, they are pretty much an exact copy of the Leatherman Arc and the Leatherman series. The pocket clip is a little bit different. It's not the same either. The end of the handles, how they work, yes, it does seem to be pretty much an exact copy. When you close the Leatherman Arc, when you close the fan exclusive, they, yeah, pretty much interchangeable is how it looks like almost. Now, the tool set is not the same as a Leatherman Arc. Now, the Leatherman Arc will have the bit driver, and it also has the micro bit driver. This tool does not have that. So again, it will not be the same as a Leatherman Arc. Many people will say this is the same, it's just a Leatherman Arc copy. No, it's definitely more of a Leatherman Free P2 copy. That's where most of these tools are copied from, and Leatherman has now discontinued the Leatherman Free P4 and P2, and at least on their website, that's what they say, and so the last units are being sold on Amazon. So essentially, it seems like Dekoyu is copying a discontinued tool. Now, technically, a lot of people argue and say there's still, what, like a 20-year patent? And again, Dekoyu seems to feel uncomfortable about showing a picture of this tool. So even though this is discontinued, a lot of the mechanisms and so forth that are used in this tool are still under patent in the US, apparently. And so, yeah, that's what we're facing right now. So Dekoyu is essentially cloned very, very, very closely a tool that has been discontinued, but essentially there's still mechanisms that should not really be used at this moment. So I guess the next thing we need to ask is this a copy of the Leatherman Garage number 5? Well, definitely the color scheme is the white, but otherwise the handle notches are not on this one. The inside tools are not the same, and even the bronze color of the knife is definitely a little bit different. So there are some fairly large distinctions between this and the Garage 5 that are not the same. But yes, I mean, that's a Leatherman Free series essentially, and so there are some big similarities, but still I would have to say that it's the closest thing to the Leatherman Free P4 is what it copies the most. And even though this is discontinued, I still think there are ethical issues with this. If you do want to buy these, I think there's a limited amount made, so I don't know that they will be around that long, so be aware of that. There are versions of the first version, this anniversary tool exclusive number 1, that are sold on eBay as well under Warna, so I will let you look at that. I don't think I'll leave a link for that because eBay links different times are fairly long and hard to fit into the YouTube description underneath the video under more. So I know there's a couple groups of thought when it comes to tools like this. One of the most vocal groups is those who say it is wrong for Dekoyu to make a tool like this that is so close to the Leatherman, and I think there is a bit of truth in that. The second group will talk about, hey, I love this tool, Leatherman has gotten way too expensive, and so I want to buy it anyway. And then probably the third group of you will point out differences where this is not as good as the Leatherman, especially maybe those rubber grommets and so forth, and say it's not worth your money. So I know there are several groups of people who will talk about this, and I know it's a fairly emotionally evoking tool. So let me know what you think and your thoughts below in your comments below, and I'll be interested to read them.